I found out my girlfriend has a backup boyfriend, so I became his boss. I've been dating my girlfriend, Emily, for about 2 years. We met at a bar in downtown Austin, Texas. She was this loud, funny, beautiful girl who caught everyone's attention the second she laughed. I was the quiet one in my group, the guy who rarely spoke unless he had something to say. But that night, she was the one who came up to me first. She said something like, "You look like the type of guy who doesn't smile unless it's worth it." And I swear, that line alone was enough to pull me in. We clicked fast. We moved in together after a year. She started leaving her clothes in my closet, her toothbrush next to mine, and her scent all over my sheets. We shared groceries, rent, a Netflix account, the usual, we're basically married but not yet married kind of thing. I really thought I'd found the one. Then last month, everything changed. It started small. Emily had been acting different. She'd laugh at her phone a lot. Nothing too crazy, just those private giggles that people have when they're texting someone funny. But every time I asked, "Who's that?" she'd just say, "Oh, it's just Sarah," or "My coworker sent me a meme." No red flags at first, but after 2 weeks of this, I started noticing patterns. Her phone was suddenly always face down. She'd go to the bathroom with it. She changed her passcode, something she hadn't done in months. And then one night, when she was in the shower, I noticed her phone buzz on the counter. The name Tyler popped up, just that. No last name. But the message preview said, "Open quote, wish you were here instead. Miss your laugh." Close quote. I froze. I just stood there, staring at her phone like it was about to explode. My heart was pounding, my mouth went dry, and I swear the sound of the shower felt like background noise in a horror movie. When she came out, I didn't say anything. Not yet. I couldn't. I wanted to believe I'd misunderstood, that it was a joke or some dumb inside thing. But something in me snapped that night. I waited until she fell asleep, then I quietly took her phone. She had Face ID on, so yeah. I waited till she was half asleep, gently lifted the phone to her face, and unlocked it. I know, it's messed up. But man, my gut was screaming at me. And I was right. I scrolled through her messages with Tyler. The dude was everywhere. Inside jokes, late night miss you texts, selfies she'd sent when I thought she was out with her coworkers. He'd even sent her a long-ass message saying, open quote, "I know you're with him, but I can't help how I feel. You said you weren't sure where your heart is. I'm just waiting for you to choose me." Close quote. And her reply, open quote, "You know it's complicated. I just need time." Close quote. Time for what, Emily? To decide who you want more? I swear I sat there in bed for like an hour, scrolling through messages that made me feel physically sick. They hadn't slept together, at least not that I could see, but emotionally it was worse. She was keeping him as a backup boyfriend. The next morning, I didn't even know how to act. Oh, I just stared at her making coffee like she was some stranger who'd stolen my girlfriend's face. She asked if I was okay, and I said I was just tired. But I wasn't tired. I was done. Still, I needed to know more. So I did some digging. Tyler's Instagram was public. He looked like a typical gym bro. Tight shirts, messy hair, always posting motivational captions like, "Grind now, shine later." But then I realized something. He worked at a marketing agency downtown. My company's partner agency. I shit you not. The same guy my girlfriend was emotionally cheating with was one of our partners at a firm we just started collaborating with. That's when something dark in me woke up. I could have confronted Emily right there. I could have yelled, cried, demanded answers, but I didn't. Instead, I played it cool. I went to work that day and asked my manager, Mark, about the open supervisor position for the joint project we were about to start with that agency. He said they were still assigning roles. I told him I wanted to volunteer. By the end of the week, I was the project lead, which meant I was now Tyler's boss. When I saw his face for the first time in person, I swear I almost laughed. He came in all smiles, hand out for a shake. "Hey man, I'm Tyler. Great to finally meet you. I've heard a lot about you." No kidding. I shook his hand, smiled, and said, "Oh, I've heard plenty about you too." He didn't even flinch. Maybe he didn't realize who I was, or maybe he thought I was clueless. Either way, the irony of standing there, face to face with the guy texting my girlfriend that he misses her, was so wild I almost admired his nerve. The first few days were torture. He'd talk about his weekend plans, And every time he mentioned a friend or this girl I've been seeing, I wondered if he meant Emily. My blood boiled every damn time. But I didn't snap. Not yet. Instead, I started playing a long game. I began subtly asserting control. I gave him the toughest tasks, tightest deadlines, the kind of pressure that would make anyone fold. But he didn't complain. He handled it well. I'll give him that. Still, watching him sweat was satisfying. One Friday afternoon, we were having lunch with the team when Emily texted me, open quote, "Hey, dinner tonight? I miss you." Close quote. Miss me? Yeah. Right. Tyler's phone buzzed almost immediately after. I didn't even mean to look, but I caught a glimpse of his screen. Her name. M. I felt my stomach drop. He smiled down at his phone, typed something fast, and put it face down again. That's when I excused myself, went to the restroom, and just stood there staring at my reflection. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I realized I was officially living in some twisted romantic revenge movie. When I got home that night, I confronted Emily. She tried to play dumb at first. Tyler? Oh, he's just a friend from work. Then when I told her I'd read the text, her face turned white. I swear it wasn't like that, she said, tears forming. I don't know. You've been so busy lately. I felt like you weren't there. And Tyler, he just listened. Listened? I repeated. So that makes him your emotional support side piece? She tried to grab my hand. I didn't mean to hurt you. I pulled away. Well, you did. The argument went on for hours, crying, yelling, apologizing, the whole dramatic cycle. In the end, she begged me not to leave, said she'd cut Tyler off, that it meant nothing, that she was just confused. I told her I'd think about it. But the truth? I didn't believe her. Not after seeing her name pop up on his phone that same day. So now I'm in this weird, dangerous place where I'm pretending things are fine at home, while being this guy's boss at work. And part of me, the hurt, vengeful part, wants to make him feel every ounce of the humiliation I felt. Because if Emily thought I wouldn't find out, or if Tyler thought he could sneak around behind my back, well, they both seriously underestimated me. This isn't over, not by a long shot. You know that feeling when you're smiling on the outside but boiling on the inside? That was me for the next few weeks. At home, Emily and I were doing that awkward dance of pretending everything's okay. She deleted Tyler from her contacts, blocked him on social media, and even started leaving her phone out again. Like that somehow proved she was clean. She made an effort. I'll give her that. Cooking dinner, cuddling on the couch, sending those I love you texts out of nowhere. But I could tell it was all damage control. She was trying too hard, and I wasn't ready to forgive. Not when I saw Tyler's face every day at work. Not when I knew what he'd said about her, about me. At work, Tyler had no idea I knew. That made it even better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. I kept my cool, smiled during meetings, complimented his presentations, even joked around a little. But every move I made had a purpose. It started small. During one project, I purposely forgot to forward him key updates. So he'd show up to a meeting unprepared. I'd tilt my head, act disappointed, and say, "Come on, man, you got to be more on top of this." He'd apologize, red-faced, saying, "Sorry, dude, my bad, won't happen again." Oh, it would. Then I began assigning him last-minute revisions, Friday evening deadlines, long reports, tedious presentations. I could see the exhaustion building in his eyes. But here's the thing. He never broke. The guy actually worked hard, which made it even more satisfying to slowly break his confidence. One day, during a client meeting, I noticed he kept glancing at his phone. I knew that look. It was the same one I'd seen on Emily's face when she was texting him. After the meeting, I said casually, "Someone special texting you?" He laughed. "Nah, just a friend." "Girlfriend?" I pushed. He hesitated just a little. "Nah, not really. Kinda complicated." Complicated, that word again. I smiled and said, "Yeah, I get that." But my blood was boiling. That night, I went home to Emily. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling TikTok, and smiled when I walked in. "Hey, how was your day?" "It was fine," I said, dropping my bag. "Just busy. Saw Tyler again." She froze for a split second before pretending to be chill. "Oh, yeah? How's he doing?" I stared at her. "Why do you care?" She looked confused. "I don't, just asking." Right? Silence. She knew that I knew something had shifted, and I knew she was still holding on to something. Whether it was guilt or leftover feelings, I couldn't tell. Later that week, fate, or karma, handed me a golden opportunity. Our companies decided to merge departments temporarily for a new campaign. That meant weekend overtime, late nights, tight collaboration. And guess who I was partnered with for most of it? Tyler. The first late night, it was just the two of us in the office. Everyone else had gone home. The place was quiet except for the hum of computers and the occasional tapping of keys. He leaned back in his chair and sighed. Man, you ever get tired of this grind? All the time, I said. He laughed. Yeah, I feel like I've been running on fumes lately. Between work and everything else, I barely sleep. Everything else? I asked, pretending to be casual. He hesitated again. Just life stuff. Girl stuff. Oh? I turned to face him. You still seeing that girl you mentioned? He rubbed his neck. Kinda. It's complicated, like I said. She's with someone, but it's not serious, or at least that's what she tells me. I don't know, man. I really like her. My jaw clenched so hard I thought I'd break a tooth. He continued. She said she was going to end things with him, but then she just didn't. She's been distant lately. I think he found out or something. I forced a chuckle. Wow, that's rough. Yeah, he sighed. I just want her to be honest, you know? If she doesn't want me, fine. But I hate being someone's backup. That word, backup, hit me like a slap. Backup. That's exactly what he was. And somehow hearing him say it made me feel a mix of satisfaction and disgust. I decided to test something. You ever think maybe she's just stringing you along? I asked. He nodded. Yeah, sometimes, but I can't help it. I care about her. She said she's confused. Maybe she just needs time. I stared at my screen, pretending to read something, while my brain screamed, she doesn't need time, idiot. She needs boundaries. But I didn't say that. Instead, I said, well, maybe you'll get closure soon. He smiled sadly. Maybe. When I got home, I couldn't sleep. Emily was next to me, scrolling through her phone. I stared at the ceiling, while thinking about how she had both of us wrapped around her finger at one point. The next morning, I made a decision. If Emily was still in touch with him, I'd find out. So I installed a work tracker on her laptop, the one she used for remote days. It was technically for my team's shared account, but she'd logged in before, so it auto-synced. Every file she touched, every message she sent, I could see. And guess what popped up 2 days later? A folder named Client Docs Tyler. Inside were screenshots, messages, ones I hadn't seen before. Stuff like, open quote, you're my safe place. I miss you. I wish I could tell him everything. I hate lying, but I'm scared. Close quote. These were dated just a few weeks ago, after she promised she'd cut him off. That was it. The last piece I needed. I wasn't going to yell this time, or cry, or beg. I was going to destroy the little fantasy both of them had built. So the next day at work, I called Tyler into my office. He walked in, casual as always. What's up, man? I smiled. Close the door. He did. Tyler, I said, leaning back in my chair. You know Emily, right? He froze. The color drained from his face. Yeah? I kept my expression neutral. You've been talking to her behind my back. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Don't bother. I cut him off. I've seen everything. He swallowed hard. Look, man, I didn't mean to what? I said sharply. Steal my girlfriends and I be her emotional support while she lied to both of us. He looked down. She said things were bad between you two. She said you were basically done. Yeah, well, she lied. He rubbed his face. I swear I didn't know, man. I thought she was leaving you. Yeah, I said coldly. And while you were waiting for her to choose, you forgot I was the one signing your checks. His head shot up. What do you mean? I leaned forward. I mean, Tyler, that your little romantic daydream just cost you your position on this project. You'll be reassigned by Monday. He looked stunned. You can't do that. I just did. He stood there for a second, fists clenched, face red. Then he muttered, You think this makes you the bigger man? She still lied to you, dude. And he walked out. That last line hit me harder than I expected, because he wasn't wrong. I'd won, if you could call it that. But all I felt was this empty, bitter ache in my chest. When I went home that night, Emily tried to hug me. I didn't hug back. She looked at me confused. What's wrong? I stared at her and said, You told me you stopped talking to him. Her face dropped instantly. I did. I swear I did. I shook my head. Then why did I find new messages? She started crying, babbling excuses. I just wanted to make sure he was okay after you became his boss. I didn't mean anything. Stop lying, I said quietly. You've been lying since day one. She collapsed into tears. Please don't leave me. I turned away. You already did. That night, I packed a bag and went to my friend's place. But as I lay on his couch staring at the ceiling, I realized something. I wasn't done yet. Emily had played me. Tyler had played along. And both of them thought I'd just walk away broken. But I had one final move left, and I was going to make sure they both remembered it. You'd think leaving would have made me feel free, but it didn't. Even after I walked out, I couldn't stop thinking about everything. The lies, the messages, the way she looked at me like I was the one ruining something, the way Tyler had the audacity to act like a victim. It wasn't closure. It was poison I couldn't get out of my system. So I decided I'd give myself closure, my way. The thing is, revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it just has to be smart. I knew both of them, their habits, their insecurities, their weaknesses. And the beauty of working in marketing is you learn how to play people without them realizing. Emily had always been obsessed with appearances, social media, validation, what people thought of her. Tyler, on the other hand, was obsessed with his reputation, the hardworking, loyal, ambitious guy image he'd built at the agency. So I hit them where it hurt. It started subtly. At work, I didn't fire Tyler. I just made him irrelevant. Every project he led, I reassigned it to someone else. Every client meeting he was supposed to attend, schedule change. His name slowly started disappearing from presentations. Within a few weeks, people stopped consulting him for anything. One afternoon, his manager, who didn't know our history, pulled me aside and said, "Hey, do you think Tyler's losing focus? He's been off lately." I shrugged. Maybe he's got personal stuff going on. Might not be a great time to have him on client accounts. That was all it took. By the next month, Tyler was quietly removed from 2 key projects. His performance reviews dipped. His confidence, gone. And the best part? I didn't even have to lift a finger publicly. He did it to himself by looking distracted. I almost felt bad. Almost. Meanwhile, Emily started blowing up my phone again. First it was texts. Open quote, "Please, can we talk? I made a mistake. I miss you. I miss us." Close quote. Then came the voicemails, crying, begging, saying she didn't mean to hurt me, that she loved me. I didn't reply. I knew she'd spiral. She always needed control, and silence was the one thing she couldn't handle. Then one night, she showed up at my place. I opened the door, and there she was, makeup smudged, hoodie, eyes red. "Please, Tevin," she said softly. "I can't sleep. I just want to fix things." "Fix what?" I said coldly. "You can't fix trust once it's gone." She grabbed my hand. "I didn't mean for it to go that far. I just wanted to feel wanted again. You were distant, and Tyler—" "Stop," I cut her off. "Don't you dare blame this on me. You chose to cheat. You could have talked to me. Instead, you went looking for a backup plan." She started sobbing. "He means nothing to me." I looked her dead in the eye. "Then why were you still texting him after you said you cut him off?" She didn't answer. That's when I said the words I've been holding back for weeks. "By the way," I said calmly, "Tyler doesn't work under me anymore." She looked up, sniffling. "What do you mean?" "I mean, he got reassigned. Let's just say he's not exactly thriving these days." Her face twisted in confusion. You did that to him?" I smiled faintly. "No, he did that to himself. I just let the truth catch up." She stared at me for a long time before whispering, "You're not the same person I used to know." I nodded. "You're right. You made sure of that." Then I closed the door. After that night, I didn't hear from her for a while, but word travels fast, especially when people can't help but self-destruct. 2 weeks later, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a post from Emily, a picture of a sunset with the caption, open quote, "Sometimes losing someone teaches you who you really are." Close quote. And guess who liked it? Tyler. I actually laughed. Out loud, even after everything, they couldn't help circling back to each other like 2 broken magnets. But that's when karma stepped in. Because a few weeks after that, our company announced a restructuring. Budgets cut, teams merged, staff reduced. Tyler's agency was one of the ones hit hardest. And guess who made the final decision on which external teams to keep? Yours truly. I didn't even have to justify it. The numbers spoke for themselves. His department was underperforming. That email, the one that said, "We regret to inform you that your contract will not be renewed," Probably hit his inbox on a Monday morning. I didn't see him after that, but I did see Emily about a month later. I was out at a coffee shop with a colleague when she walked in. She looked different, tired, smaller somehow. She saw me, froze, then gave a small awkward wave. I nodded politely, nothing more. As she walked out, my colleague leaned over and said, "You know her?" I said, "Yeah, I used to." He smiled. She looked like she had a lot on her mind. I just shrugged. We all do. You think the story ends there, but there's one last twist. A few months later, I got promoted. New office, better pay, higher position. During one of the onboarding meetings, my manager handed me a list of new junior hires joining under our supervision. I scanned the names, and at the bottom, I saw one that almost made me spit out my coffee. Tyler Jameson. Apparently, after losing his old job, he'd applied to one of our branch offices. He didn't even realize it was under our umbrella company. So guess what I did? I approved the hire. I wanted him to see me again, not as competition, but as proof that no matter how much he thought he'd won, he was still miles behind. When he walked into orientation and saw me standing there as his direct senior manager, the look on his face was priceless. "Hey, Tyler," I said with a calm smile. "Welcome to the team." He didn't say a word, just nodded stiffly and sat down. I could almost hear his thoughts screaming. Later that day, I caught him alone in the hallway. He finally muttered, "You really had this plan, didn't you?" I smiled. "No, man, just lucky timing." He glared. "You're sick." I shrugged. "Maybe, but I'm also your boss again, so let's keep things professional." And I walked away. Now, it's been 6 months since that day. Emily moved to another city, I think. Last I heard, she's doing freelance work and posting vague quotes about growth and healing. Tyler's still quiet, polite, efficient, avoiding me like I'm a ghost. And me, I'm finally good. Not because I got revenge, but because I got closure on my terms. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I just let the truth dismantle them piece by piece while I kept building myself up. Sometimes karma just needs a little help finding its way. End of part 3, The Payback.